Hello everybody, I am Wigglerido and I am back with another video. This week is episode 6 of the How to Get Better with series, and if you haven't already guessed, we're focusing on Count Dooku. So Count Dooku is one of those heroes where if you had to make a hero ranking list, he would come up in the middle, just because he's literally top 3 if you're just focusing on HVV, but he's probably top 10 if you're focusing on GA. Count Dooku, if you haven't already, if you're not familiar, he's way better in Heroes vs. Villains than Galactic Assault. That's not to say you should never ever play him in Galactic Assault. I personally like him in Galactic Assault most of the time. Usually I'm Grievous, and then maybe Vader, Kylo, and Palpatine, but Dooku's definitely up on my list. A lot of people just only have played him once or twice in GA, didn't do well, and then just never play him again, only in Heroes vs. Villains. But that's not what we're talking about this video. This video is going to be teaching you how to get better with Count Dooku. And what we're going to start off with is the star cards to use in GA and HVV. So the 3 star cards you want to be using for GA or Galactic Assault, which is the game mode you're watching right now, are Sith Control, Balanced Duelist, and Initiative. But those are just the 3 I like to use. Those are definitely not the only 3 you can use in GA. Dooku actually has a lot of combinations you can use depending on how you like to use his abilities and when. For example, for his Lightning Stun ability, I don't use any star cards for that, even though I love using it in GA. It's great for getting yourself out of situations with non-heavy troops, like officers, specialists, and assaults. It will one-shot them, so it's really good for that, but I don't think I need a star card for it. But if you're a person that finds yourself relying on that ability a lot more, you might want to try looking at the star cards for that ability, and seeing which ones you would want to put on. Even though that lightning thing is completely fine, I'm not telling you to use those 3 cards. They're not mandatory, but I will say you probably don't want to use any cards for Expose Weakness in GA. That ability is really good and really underrated in my opinion, but I don't think you need to use a star card for it. So moving on to the Heroes vs. Villains star cards, the game mode Count Dooku can literally sit in the first place spot in. He's so good in that mode. The cards you want to be using are Sith Control, Masterful Duelist, and Balanced Duelist. And that setup is for if you want to rely on your duelist ability the most. Well, of course you want to rely on it the most, because that ability is literally one of the best abilities in the game. But if you don't want to have double duelist star cards, you could actually run Superiority. This star card makes Exposed Weakness last longer on the enemies you use it on for 2 seconds. And Exposed Weakness is actually really good in any mode, but mainly in Heroes vs. Villains. So now that we got star cards out of the way, let's move on to 3 of his best maps. I would say 3 of his best maps he's good on in GA, and these are definitely not the only maps he's good on. He's definitely good on like Naboo that you're watching right now, and a couple others, but the 3 best are both sand planets, Jakku and Tatooine, and then along with that, Takodana. And if you want me to get a little more specific, I'd say the best out of those 3 maps is Tatooine. So now that we got star cards and 3 of his best maps for GA, and if you're wondering best maps for HVV, literally any map. He's so good in that mode, it really doesn't matter what map you're on. What we're going to go over next is heroes you want to play a little more aggressive towards in GA, and ones you definitely want to avoid. So some heroes you want to avoid in GA are, if you've been watching any second of this gameplay you're watching right now, it's Anakin. This Anakin in this game literally just followed me around spamming his abilities. It was so annoying. So you definitely want to watch out for Anakin. Another hero you kind of want to watch out for is Chewbacca. I say this a lot in these dark side lightsaber heroes just because Chewbacca does so much damage if you can get a shock grenade on you and if he gets Furious Bowcaster. But Dooku would have a little easier time against Chewbacca than someone like Darth Maul, who doesn't do that much damage and doesn't have a great swing speed. I mean, it's pretty good, but nothing even close to Dooku's on Duelist. So if you're playing as Dooku in GA and you come across a Chewbacca and you're behind him, he doesn't see you, you could activate your Duelist and get a lightning on him, and you won't have a hard time. But I'm just saying, if there's a Chewbacca and he also has 6 other troopers by him and he's full health and you're on like 400, you probably wouldn't want to rush that. So one obvious hero you definitely want to play a little more aggressive towards is BB-8. Because it's pretty obvious. BB-8 can't block, obviously. And Dooku, really, the only way he can't kill someone is if they're blocking a lot. That's why Obi-Wan is actually pretty annoying, and if he can get a mind trick on you. But Obi-Wan, you definitely want to watch out for Anakin more than Obi-Wan. But back to BB-8. You definitely want to play a little more aggressive towards BB-8, because if you can get your duelist, and then if you can lightning him, and if you can expose weakness him, if you can use all your abilities on him, he'll have a really tough time defending you. I mean, you can literally 3 or 4 shot BB-8 if you have your duelist. When you're playing as Dooku and you need some health, I mean, it's rare, he has really nice health regeneration, but if you do find yourself needing some health, if you see a BB-8, you could kind of play a little more aggressive towards him, because that's like 3 or 4 lightsaber swings, and then that's a free 100 health. Another hero I would say play a little more aggressive towards is Leia, just because she doesn't have too much health, and if you can get your ability loop on her, or not ability loop, just expose weakness, then lightning, then spam duelist on her, she won't do much about it. If you can catch her without a rapid fire going, then you should have a pretty easy time. So now let's move on to the most important part of this, is actually the tips, just overall tips, things you definitely want to stop doing and things you definitely want to start doing when you're playing as Dooku in both game modes. So let's start with the HVV ones, because they're definitely going to be a lot shorter. Really, all you want to do in HVV with Dooku is make sure you're using Duelist every time it's active, or every time it's available, and take advantage of his 3 dashes. If you've noticed from this gameplay, and you know you don't really play Dooku that much, he actually has 3 dashes without any star cards. Another hero that has that is Rey, but she needs a star card to give her that. Dooku, he just automatically has it. So take advantage of those 3 dashes when you're 1v1ing a hero. So moving on to the most important GA tips for Dooku, because Dooku's definitely way weaker in GA. So some things I see a lot of people doing when you're playing as Dooku in GA, they're using their lightning and they don't really know what the range is. A lot of times there's someone like pretty far away from him and they just try to use their lightning. It's nowhere close to like Palpatine's lightning. It can't reach that long. You kind of got to get really close to him to actually use the lightning for it to actually do damage. So one tip for his exposed weakness ability, which is his RB, is actually you don't really want to use it on infantry or reinforcements. You kind of just want to save it for heroes. Because when you see a hero, you definitely don't want to try to 1v1 them in GA. At least how I play GA, I try to get kill streaks by killing infantry and reinforcements. I don't want to 1v1 an Anakin for 10 minutes. So when you see them, you can just drop them at exposed weakness and then run away, or they'll probably run away. But that's probably all you want to do. But in the earlier gameplay, I might have noticed I used it on that officer. That was just because no one was shooting me, no one was even really around me, and I saw he had yellow health, which is just extra health provided from either the officer's heal, Yoda, or Finn. And if you're unfamiliar, exposed weakness takes away that yellow health instantly if you use it on them. So I just wanted to use that just because why not? No one was even shooting at me. But you definitely don't want to use it if you're being pressured. So another little thing I'll say about Dooku, it's not for any of his abilities, it's not really a tip, it's just kind of the thing to watch out for. It's actually one of his lunge animations is really bad, and one of them is actually really good. So if you're unfamiliar, a lunge with a lightsaber hero is when they're sprinting full speed, and then you press right trigger. Or the basic lightsaber attack button. I don't know what it is on PS4. Every lightsaber hero has a different animation and range of this. And for Dooku, he has 2 animations. One of them is actually really good. He lunges a good distance. Is one of the best in the game. But another one, he just twirls and goes like a couple inches. And it's really, really, really bad. So, I mean, there's no way to stop this from happening. I'm just saying it's like a 50-50 chance if you'll get the good lunge or the bad lunge. So don't be surprised if you're sprinting, you press right trigger, and then he just twirls and doesn't even go a foot. Now the last tip for GA is actually the reason a lot of people die super quickly in GA with Dooku is just, they always think just because he has a lightsaber, he can take out 15 guys with one press of a button. No, Dooku's not like that. He's not supposed to be played like that. He's a pick off one guy, pick off another guy, run away, hit heal, and then do it again. Yeah, of course, Vader can kill 10 guys in one button, Grievous can, Kylo can kill in a couple of buttons, but Dooku is not that kind of guy. So if you see a giant room of 10 clones and 8 Wookiee warriors, you definitely don't want to do that. That's not how Dooku should be played. So if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment if you're unsure on one thing to do or how one ability works or anything like that. Feel free to leave a comment because I will respond if you're confused on something. And I think that is going to do it for how to get better with Count Dooku. So happy holidays, guys, and I'm Wiggle Burrito, and I will see you guys in the next one.